Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian, and today we're going to take a look at a little bit of the history of the Bergmann Company, and Theodore Bergmann in particular, and Theodore Bergmann's automatic pistols in really particular. Now, the Bergmann Company was one of the very first ones out there to actually produce a commercially viable self-loading pistol. In the early 1890s, they had a product out on the market. In fact, they had several versions of this pistol. And that puts them right in the beginning of the people and the companies who are able to do this. Now, at the same time, Bergmann's not a recognized name today by most people because while they were able to get a working pistol out there, and interestingly, for about 20 or 30 years, they were able to maintain a position in the market, they were never able to hit a home run. They never had a pistol like the Borchardt or the Luger or the C96 Mauser. So they remain one of these lesser known firms, which frankly makes them perfect for Forgotten Weapons. So I have an assortment of Bergmann pistols out here just to give you a little bit of a teaser of what we're going to be getting into. Everything from some of the very earliest developments to some of the very latest. Now, Bergmann started out with simple blowback pistols, and right around the turn of the century, about 1900, they made the transition to a locked breech, which allowed them to continue developing newer and better pistols. That allowed them to have more powerful cartridges, and their biggest successes really would be with locked breech pistols. But we'll get to that in due course. I want to start today by just explaining the origins of the very first Bergmann pistols. Now, Theodore Bergmann was not a gun designer. He was clearly interested in guns, but his profession was basically industrialist and financier. He was born in 1850 in Gaggenau, Germany. And by the age of 19, he was actually a managing partner at the Gaggenau Iron Works. This was a industrial factory. They made a wide variety of products, and pretty much anything that needed to be manufactured, Bergmann would get into. He wanted to make money, and he was good at it. He was quite successful. So when people started bringing him firearms patents, asking if he could produce guns based on their patents, well, that's something he was definitely interested in. He was also interested in particular, automobiles, and of course other things. Around this time you would often have, firearm manufacturers would also make things like sewing machines, any sort of intricate mechanical product. So, in 1892, a Hungarian watchmaker by the name of Otto Brauvetter approached Bergmann with a patent, or with an idea at any rate, for a new style of self-loading pistol. And apparently, Bergmann thought it was pretty good because the patent, which was issued in 1892, was made out to both Brauvetter and the Gaggenau Iron Works company. So this kind of suggests to us that Bergmann invested some of his company's time and money to help develop the initial model for this patent and get the ball rolling. Now, that first pistol I don't think there are any surviving examples of it, and it was a delayed blowback pistol, a little bit complicated, and it wasn't quite functional on its own. So Bergmann would hand it off to another one of his employee designers to improve on. That employee designer was a guy by the name of Louis Schmeisser. That name you're probably familiar with. He and his son Hugo would become quite notable firearms designers, and this was one of his earlier projects. So we will get to the #1 Bergmann pistol, aka you could call it the Bergmann Schmeisser, in the next video, which will be the first in a series touching on each of the major design elements in this whole progression from the 1890s through the 1920s. So check back in for that. Hope you'll enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in to Forgotten Weapons.